Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Nick here with Jayhawk to help you break down tonight's NBA DFS main slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. Got a decent sized slate tonight, definitely in the dog days of the year. Always say it. Some teams are tanking, other teams are starting to rest for the playoffs. So, always a lot of value opening up plays we need to keep an eye on, et cetera, et cetera. The FanDuel slate does include the 10 o'clock game tonight, whereas the DK slate does not. But we're going to go through game by game and give you guys all our favorite plays. Jayhawk, what's your initial take on this one here?
Yeah, man, winding down to the end of the season here. You mentioned it. It's just a lot of teams are tanking. We're going to see a lot of these starters potentially get their minutes cut here at some point, especially the tanking ones. So, yeah, crazy slate. Excited to break this one down.
Yeah, man, definitely with you. We got Jose in here as always. We got one and only lineup set. Just need to make one decision. Tatum and Collier or SGA and Naismith. That's a tricky one. I mean, the model definitely favors SGA. I think I'm leaning with the first group, especially with Turner out. How about you, Jayhawk? You got a hard lead on that? Two for two?
Oh, that's tough. I think I lean the Tatum Collier side with Sexton out here.
Yeah, I mean, Sexton being out definitely affects that a little bit. But as he's saying, Timmy and DraftKings full players, good evening. Yeah, unfortunately, he's center only on DK. We got a lot of good value at center tonight, but still too cheap for what he's going to do, probably. Unicorn Love shouts out. Locally, Alvarado, man. I didn't even play really yesterday, but that's always the story with Alvarado. Whenever he looks great, uh, tends to not do so well, but then when he's lower owned, he tends to get up there. So, tough guy to get a read on for real. No more NO. They're going 10 deep, all getting around the same minutes. Yeah, starting to look like one of those teams, Unicorn. Shouts out to Heath. Yeah, everyone chasing Timmy. We'll talk through that one. You guys know I love my Nets. Fellas from Courtney, always appreciate you being here as well. Need a refresh. Paddock ended up Amber hurting this afternoon. Yeah, I dodged that one. My bats didn't quite get there though, so is what it is. That early slate was gross. But yeah, guys, the NBA show here. But if you sneak in an MLB question, maybe I'll get to you. And then yeah, hit or miss with the value plays. That's always the case this time of year. Try to find the upside, dodge the landmines. Never easy to do. Shouts out to Demetrius being here as well. But yeah, guys, we got Jayhawk on double duty today. I still got some MLB to build on the back end, so we're going to go through the game by game. Hopefully, get out of here by 6:30 Eastern. So yeah, I'll get to chat every few games or so. So feel free to get the questions in. But if I don't get you immediately, don't worry, we will. But let's start here. We got a few games starting at 7. Oh, actually, a lot of them starting in this first block here. So order I'm looking at is different than the injury report. Not that that necessarily matters, but let's start with the Clippers and the Orlando Magic. 211 point total, one of the lowest on the board. On the Clippers side of things, Bogdan is questionable. Ben Simmons getting rest tonight. Amir Coffey is out. Really nothing else too significant. Kawhi, pretty much in 3 quarters against my Nets, went off the other night. He's looked really solid lately. This team getting pretty healthy. Norm Powell just hasn't really looked like himself since he's been back. A big part of that is Kawhi kind of taking up his usage. But yeah, man, I mean, against Orlando, it's tough to feel too great about anything here. Obviously, we have amazing value at center tonight. I do think you can make a case to get to Zoo to get a little bit different. Harden and Kawhi continue to look solid. Kawhi's price finally up over 9K on FanDuel. I would probably rather get to him than Harden. But yeah, you can certainly make a case for either or. Those are really the only three I have any interest in. The value here just isn't going to cut it for me, knowing we have much better value with some of these other teams. Jayhawk, you get into any Clippers tonight?
Yeah, so pretty much in agreement with you here. Just a tough matchup here against Orlando. 211 total. I just feel like these guys overall, both sides, we'll get to both sides, but especially the Clippers here in a tough spot. So Zubac, I agree, would be probably my favorite here. 13% owned, but I think he's just like a contrarian way to get different at center. For the most part, I think I'm probably just fading this team overall. I prefer other guys at pop instead of Harden and Kawhi as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind mixing in Kawhi. It would take a few lines for me to get there, though. I think I have 4 or 5 reserved. Maybe I'll have them in one, but obviously not the best game environment. On the other side of this one, we have no Jalen Suggs. He's cheering for Haley Van Lith and TCU. No Cole Anthony either, so they are still thin in the backcourt. Other than that, no Mo Wagner, really no significant injuries we weren't expecting or anything like that. Corey Joseph going to continue to start at the point, but Anthony Black's certainly been out playing him, playing more minutes as well. You can get to him off the bench as a pivot. We're going to see in a few, though. We have a lot of good guard value tonight. Can always make a case for guys like Paulo or Franz. I prefer Paulo of the two. But yeah, as far as pay up goes, I think there's other spots we prefer to get to tonight. Not really going to call anything here a priority. Wouldn't talk anyone off playing either of those wings. And I do think Anthony Black's pretty useful as a pivot off of some of the chalkier guard value if you don't trust it. But that's really it for me. Wendell Carter looks okay point per dollar. I just don't think I can get to him in a matchup like this. Jayhawk, any Orlando for you on the other side of this one?
Yep. So it's been kind of funny, Nick. We've been on stream. I feel like we've had the Magic almost on every
Yeah, we
stream.
did.
I'm actually back on Paulo here, like you mentioned. You like him as well. 23%
Yeah.
owned. I just think it's a better spot here for Paulo overall for fantasy purposes. So do like Paulo. In tournaments, he's okay. I do prefer Tatum, obviously, up top, but totally fine with Paulo. And then Franz is fine as well. I don't love paying 9K for him in the spot, so I think I'd rather
No.
play Paulo here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, Franz, the discount's nice, but like it's not as big as I'd like it to be. I mean, on FanDuel, 1,500 difference. It's starting to get there, but at the same time, the ownership kind of follows that as well. So it's really not like some big stand you're taking. But yeah, I'm glad this game was first. Really, it's not one we're super going to be, I don't know, focused on or attacking. Another game in the 7 o'clock window, certainly a little bit more appealing. We have the Miami Heat here taking on the Washington Wizards. Slightly higher total, just 215.5 points. But some injuries here creating opportunity. Alec Burks is probable for Miami. No Jovic, Kevin Love. Davion Mitchell, late add to the injury report with a Q tag. Duncan Robinson, Drew Smith, and very significantly, Andrew Wiggins is going to be out. So Mitchell's actually played well, even coming off the bench here. But yeah, if he's not going to be available, could mean more minutes for someone like Alec Burks. Hero and Bam have been playing pretty well. Obviously, with no Wiggins, they're going to see a little bit of a bump in usage. I think you could make a case for either of them. But yeah, this Mitchell news is important. I think if he's out, there is a world where we get Jaime Jaquez back in the starting lineup. It's been a while since we've seen it, but as a starter, he has been pretty appealing as value. Currently, he's not even in the model, so definitely something to wait and see, keep an eye on. Haywood Highsmith and Kyle Anderson kind of in and out of the rotation. I do think Haywood is someone we can rely on in terms of minutes, not always in terms of fantasy production. But again, the little bit of a price increase on him is enough to kind of scare me off. Pelle Larson's actually had a few decent games lately, projected to start on the wing. When I say a few decent games, I mean one decent game last time out against Philly where he had 40 fantasy points. I don't know that I'm going to get there, honestly. I do think Hero and Bam look excellent here. Don't mind mixing in some Alec Burks. I will say I feel better about that Burks play if we do get word that Davion's out. But definitely a spot we need to keep an eye on the starting lineup. I didn't even bring up Khalil Ware. He has been playing better alongside Bam lately, though, especially with Wiggins out. So can make a case for him as well. But even with the low total, Miami is paced up against a pretty bad defense. Don't mind getting to some exposure here. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah. So first of all, great shout there with Davion. I do lean he probably misses here. Obviously, the late day downgrades, pretty impactful towards them missing typically. So model already likes Alec Burks here. 8% on both sides. Good DK and FanDuel value. I think he'd look really good if Mitchell's out. And then you mentioned it, Hero and Bam. Even in a low total here, I think they both look awesome. I have slightly more Tyler Hero, but I think Bam looks awesome too. 8,600, good price point, good spot. And then, yeah, I mean, Anderson and Highsmith, they've been very tough to nail down in terms of minutes and projection, but I think they're both fine. I think I would slightly prefer Haywood Highsmith. And then I did not play Pelle Larson, or Pelle Larson, however you pronounce it, last hit. But I mean, if he's going to draw 30, 40 fantasy points again, I mean, sign me up, man. But I don't know.
Yeah,
Did you
I
ever?
mean it's tough, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't played him all year and it's gone well. Like one good game, I don't know if that's enough for me to get there
Yeah.
personally, but he showed it. I always say like until I see the ceiling, I don't really want to chase it, but I don't know if one game's enough. But yeah, we got a lot of good value on the slate. I agree though. I think Hero and Bam both look really solid. Over on the Washington side of things, obviously not the best matchup for them. Still team that's tanking, missing a lot of key players: Bay, Brogdon, Koulibaly, Kaishan George, Colby Jones, Corey Kispert, Chris Middleton, JT Thor, and Anthony Gill all out this evening. So they're only listing 9 available players, which is significant for sure. I think we're going to see AJ Johnson get the start here. When he does start, he has been pretty solid. At the same time, a little bit of a price increase on him makes him not quite as appealing as he has been. Shane Payne, probably going to get the start at the 4. And issue with him has been the minutes. They've been pretty inconsistent, but with this team running such a tight rotation tonight, I do think you could get there. Fine, maybe mixing in a little bit of Carrington and Poole. Definitely not priorities for me. Sarr is the one I'm the most interested in. But kind of the issue with all of these Wizards right now, the minutes have been all over the place. I do think since they are running such a short rotation, he's probably a little bit safer than usual. And then Tristan Vukcevic, I mean, he could get DNP at any given night if he's not starting. I think tonight they need him in the rotation, though. I don't mind mixing him in a bit. Jalen Martin, dirt cheap, another guy who's probably going to have to see minutes here. So, yeah, I can't sit here and say there's one play I'm really super eager to get to, but I will say I'm going to have exposure to this team. Probably AJ Johnson, Jalen Martin, Vukcevic as value pieces to kind of pay up at other spots. But Vukcevic and Sarr being center only on DK is definitely going to make me less eager to get there. No, you have some really solid value at the position. But yeah, it's not many teams on the slate with only 9 players. I do think they are somewhat appealing in spite of the tough matchup. Jayhawk, you prioritizing any of these Wizards here?
Yeah, so I feel like this is rare for me to say, but I actually think there's a couple Wizards here that I do like here in tournaments. 2 in particular, Bob Carrington, Carlton Carrington, and where's the other guy? Jalen Martin. Those 2 in particular for Washington, I think are probably my favorites. AJ Johnson, I like that shot as well. Just the young guys here, the guys that I think will get run here. So like the young guys. And then for the rest of the team, I think Sarr is fine. I probably will just try to match the field. Vukovic, you mentioned it. He can DMP. He really scares me because center is very valuable today. I think I'd rather just play the other value centers we have. So mainly just the cheap young guys here for Washington for me.
Yeah, I do agree. And they do have Rashawn Holmes available, so he could cut into Vukcevic. I will say on FanDuel where you could play him at power forward Vuk, I think he's a little bit more appealing there, even for the price increase. But very easy just not to go there on DK. We have 2 starters on the slate that are actually cheaper than him. And one's going to come in this next game here. We got the Sacramento Kings taking on the Indiana Pacers. Starting with the Kings, really nothing too significant. Devin Carter and Jake LaRavia are both out. We are getting word that maybe Monk is going to move back to the bench, in which case Keon Ellis going to get some starts at point guard. More than anything, I think that helps DeRozan, Levine a little bit, maybe Sabonis too in terms of upside. Off the bench, I'm fine getting to Monk. I do think he's a little bit overpriced, but really tough for me to sit here, say anything's a priority. I do think DeRozan's price over on FanDuel probably a little bit too cheap. I am interested in him. And then the forward eligibility for Sabonis definitely goes a long way. But yeah, really high total here compared to what we've talked about so far. 235.5 points, tight spread. Should probably make a case for a few of these Kings. Which of them are standing out to you right now, Jayhawk?
Yeah, so Kings here overall in a good spot. I think a lot of these guys should be underowned just in general in the slate. Sabonis and DeMar popping as the best in terms of ownership here. I think I probably prefer DeRozan actually for the kind of the ownership discount on Sabonis. So I like DeRozan at that ownership. And then Sabonis is fine as well. Then after those 2, I wasn't getting too much here. Levine's 14% on FanDuel, but I'm mainly just getting Sabonis and DeRozan. Did you have a different take than me here with these guys?
No, those are the 2 I like, but I will say if Ellis starts, you can kind of mix him in as a tournament play. I think there's a lot of guards in that price range that are drawing more ownership. And it wouldn't shock me to see Ellis actually have a good game here, even with Monk coming in behind him. But other than that, no, totally agree. DeRozan and Sabonis, the 2 for me. Levine's just overpriced given his production on this team. The FanDuel price is down to 6,900, but he's barely like eclipsing 30 fantasy points consistently. So yeah, don't feel good about him right now. On the Pacers side of things, pretty significant that there will be no Miles Turner here. Probably going to see Thomas Bryant slide into the starting lineup. We'll talk about him in a minute. Other than that, a few G Leaguers listed, Isaiah and Quentin Jackson. Quentin Jackson's in, Isaiah's out, Matherin's out, as well as Miles Turner. So a little bit of value here, especially at the center position. Thomas Bryant looks like the best value play on the slate over on DK, I think. 22.8 DK value score is obviously tremendous. FanDuel, not bad either. Obviously, there is some opportunity cost using that center spot on him. We got another guy who's even cheaper coming up we'll talk about. But yeah, man, I mean, you can make a case for most of this team. I do think Halliburton's someone I want to get to a lot, especially on DK at only 8,600. It stinks he doesn't have shooting guard eligibility, but pretty easy to build with having that extra guard slot there. So I like Halliburton, going to kind of consider him a core type play. I do think Bryant is one of the better value plays overall on the entire slate, especially on DK where you can play two centers. And yeah, kind of overlooking Siakam maybe a little bit more than I should. The field is getting there pretty aggressively. You can make a case for any of the starters here. I do think Nemhard and Nemsmith are a bit more safe than they would usually be with no Matherin coming in behind them. Then Obi Toppin, I'm a little bit surprised he's not getting some love. He's another guy I don't mind mixing in. Definitely riskier than the starters. But with this front court being pretty thin, I do think you could see a few extra minutes. So Bryant, kind of a core play for me for sure. Halliburton right there behind him. Definitely fine mixing in some of the other starters and then Toppin. But how many Pacers are you getting to here?
Yep. So pretty much aligned here. Thomas Bryant, I think we both mentioned top play here for Indiana point per dollar. Even on FanDuel at almost 5K, I think he's still pretty good, 20% owned. And then I also do prefer Hallie here. I just think this up-tempo game probably slightly, prefers Hallie here. Nothing wrong with Siakam. I kind of feel like we've seen the ceiling kind of flash with Hallie here recently. So still fine with Siakam, but do much prefer Hallie. And then I do like Aaron Nesmith, a good chunk for value. No Matherin here for Indiana, so definitely like Nesmith for value.
Yep, right there with you, man. Let's hit a few of the chat questions real quick. KJ3, I don't have a hard lean on this, but Jayhawk, you think Jaylen Brown plays tonight? I don't know that they necessarily need him to, but
Actually, yeah, I think he probably
was
sits. I
he?
don't think they need him. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm hoping he sits. Obviously, it makes the rest of Boston a bit more appealing. Leaning, he sits KJ, but nothing official yet. Colby Jones is in the G League. Is that so? Okay, yeah, I mentioned he was out. I guess that's why. I didn't know if he was hurt or what. Yeah, Profar suspended for PEDs. You go chill with Bobby Portis. OG Father Braves fan here saying why. What's the best game to stack tonight? Uh, Maybe the Kings Pacers, the one we just talked about, honestly. Or
I
yeah, I
think
think
yeah,
that's my favorite.
I like Miami Washington too. I think that game's really good, even though it's a lower
Yeah,
total. I like
yeah,
the
I'm with you, man. A lot of value on both sides of that one, so makes some sense. Glass now even bigger chalk lock tonight for sure. Boys, shouts out to Don. If Brown is in, who do we prefer, Brown or Tatum? Still Tatum for me. He's just hitting the ceiling more consistently. How about you, Jayhawk?
yeah, definitely take them.
This one's kind of tricky. Sabonis, Siakam, or SGA Champagne?
Hmm.
I think it's got to be this Sabonis.
Yeah, you know what that name reminded me of? You remember Zach Pascal for the Warriors? That's exactly what popped in
Unfortunately,
my head.
yeah, he's a March NBA if there ever was one.
Yeah, definitely the first one though, for sure.
Yeah. C center has two value pieces. Should I take Thomas and Jazz center or pay up? Don, honestly, those are my two favorite value plays on the slate. We'll talk about the Jazz in a minute, but I do think it's easier to get different at other positions. Just make sure you're not playing chalk everywhere else. Can you play both George and Collier? Do you have a take on this one, Jayhawk? Obviously, no Sexton or Clarkson tonight.
I'm struggling. I really don't have any builds with both, just because it's such a big slate. We're gonna probably need the upside from one or the other to win.
Yep. I'm with you. Next, we got a question about Anthony Davis. Just pulling up how many minutes we have him for. Landon saying Anthony Davis for GPPs. Don't play him. He goes for 30 to 15 night. Yeah, I mean, we have him up to 32 minutes. I think where he's priced in the matchup, he's actually someone you should probably be getting into tournament builds at this point. You get into any AD, Hawk, we still got to get to that game, but
Not at the moment, but I mean, I don't think it's like the craziest play, but yeah, none right now for me.
3,200 for one spot. K. Martin Jr. or Hawkes. I'd say Hawkes if he starts. Otherwise, it's probably Martin. How about you?
Yeah, both of them I'm not huge on, but yeah, Hawkes if Mitchell sits here, I think for sure.
Yeah. Goldtube is SGA a lock. I'll say no, just because that game is a 15-point spread. They did just get Jalen Williams back as well, so it's an amazing matchup. But yeah, far from a lock in my opinion, especially if you want to get away from some of the weirder chalky value.
Yeah,
How
not a,
much? Go ahead.
yeah. No, I was just say I agree. Not a lock, but great matchup. But 16-point spread definitely lowers his ownership. So if you're not scared of the spread, just I'd play him.
Nice. Power, Tyson Daniels getting a 4-year Adidas deal, so he'll go off tomorrow. Prince, Jayhawk, low on Discord play. I think you had Jacoby Walter yesterday, right? You've been
Jacoby
on fire
Walter,
with those. You know
legend.
yours yet? Or are you still thinking?
Still cooking it up, man. We'll have it later for lock though.
Hell yeah. Way to plug that. Yeah, guys, if you aren't in the Discord, check the links in the description below. Get access for very cheap. Jayhawk will be going from 6:30 up until lock. And as always, you can access all of us there. Also get access to the model, lineup builder, etc., etc. Really nice stuff behind the paywall here. And it's definitely more affordable than a lot of our competitors. One more game here in the 7 o'clock window. We have to get to the Utah Jazz taking on the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, so let's start with Utah. I got to catch my breath here. We got no Clarkson, Collins, Harkless, Hendricks, Kessler, Markkinen, Potter, Sexton, or Williams here for the Utah Jazz. So Toshibwe, I think, is one of the best value plays on the slate. Not scoring quite as well as Thomas Bryant, but very similarly in terms of his upside. Really good matchup for him here as well. I think he looks great. With Sexton out, I think you could play Collier and George together. I do think George is the higher ceiling. We're projecting both for 37 minutes. If that were to hold, very comfortable playing them in the same lineup. Filipowski, excuse me, the price is up on him. Not to a point where I think he's unplayable, though. Back-to-back games where he's over 39 fantasy points, which is kind of what you need around where he's priced. Fine getting to him. Again, forward eligibility goes a long way on the slate for some of these guys. He's one of them. And then, yeah, I don't know if there's much else I want to get to. I think Svi might start at mid price, just hasn't been playing very well. Sensabaugh, if he were to start, I'd actually have some interest, but I do think it's probably going to be Svi. We'll wait and see on that. But yeah, Toshiba definitely a core play for me tonight. I do like Filipowski in tournaments. Don't mind the guards either here. Obviously, no Clarkson or Sexton makes them a little bit more appealing. Jayhawk, how are you breaking down these Jazz?
Yep. So I think both you mentioned it, both Filipowski and Oscar especially, I both think look awesome. Just having Filipowski having that forward eligibility, both sides, I absolutely love it. Still pretty good prices on both sides, good matchup. 40-minute projection, man, for Filipowski. That's wild. But yeah, so Filipowski and Shibwe, I love them both. And then Isaiah Collier, 5,300. I think he's too cheap. I'm trying to mix them in pretty heavily here in tournaments as well. So I think all three of those guys. And then Keontae George, I wasn't getting to a bunch, but 6,200, 5,900. I don't think he's the craziest, like, low on play at all.
Yeah, I'm totally with you, man. Not only are these guys appealing as value, they're in a good matchup.
Yeah.
For a bad team, that definitely helps. Speaking of bad teams, we get the Hornets on the other side here. No LaMelo Ball, Damian Baugh down with the G League. Seth Curry and Josh Green are both probable, but no Trey Mann, Brandon Miller, Josh Okogie, or Grant Williams. So another team with a lot of value we can look to. I think Kenneth Simpson probably the most appealing, even with the price increase. He's been really solid as the starter here. I think Williams was out yesterday when Nurk went off. Williams is back tonight. He's been playing limited minutes, but he's shown he has upside even in those limited minutes. Not something I'm getting to with all the great value at center. I do think he's worth mentioning, though. If you're playing a bunch of lineups, probably worth mixing in a little bit. DeQuan Jeffrey's going to get the start. Price increase on him is kind of keeping me off. Salulin coming off the bench, the model's favorite value play on DK. I don't mind him much as far as Charlotte goes. There's other plays on other teams. But yeah, Salulin, I'm fine getting to a little bit on DK. I don't think he's entirely safe, even though he's been solid lately. But yeah, I think Simpson's the one guy I really trust here. And then obviously Miles Bridges, whenever LaMelo's out, does have really high ceiling. He hasn't been hitting it, though, the past couple weeks. So I don't know that I can get to him. I think it's just Simpson for me tonight as far as priorities go. I can mix in some Salulin, a little bit of Williams, maybe some Jeffries. But other than KJ, there's just not much I really like. Charlotte, how you handling them tonight, Jayhawk?
Yep. So for value, Kenneth Simpson definitely top value play, if not the top value play, both sides. So if you need a value guard, I think Kenneth is definitely your guy here. Pretty chalky both sides. And then the guy I really like here is you mentioned it, Saloon, 10% owned. I think this is a pretty good spot for him. Projected for 25 minutes. I don't hate it as a play, so he's not the low on play of the day, but I think Saloon for Charlotte here definitely looks good at his ownership.
Yeah. Sorry for throwing an extra L into his name for those pronunciation police out there. But yeah, Simpson, I think, is the one core play. We'll probably end up with him in our dummy build. So we're through the 7 o'clock games. We got a big game here at 7:30 between the Celtics and the Memphis Grizzlies. Kind of a surprisingly close spread, which tells me maybe Jalen Brown isn't going to be available. 235.5 point total, starting with the Celtics. Obviously, Jalen Brown questionable. Luke Cornett, who's been playing really well, is questionable. No Drew Peterson or JD Davidson. They don't really matter. But yeah, if Brown's out, obviously that's going to boost guys like Tatum, White, Porzingis. Usually, when one of the starters is out, Pritchard becomes viable as well. I don't think I can get there tonight, knowing how much guard value we have. If you're playing 150, I don't think it's crazy. But right now, I mean, I don't know that I'm prioritizing anything with this team fully healthy, but Tatum does look good. If Brown's out, he is going to be the top kind of pay up, I think, on both sites. And we got the question from Landon: preferred FanDuel pay up tonight, is it Tatum? I'd say if Brown's out, it is. If Brown's in, I think there's a few different ways you could go. Porzingis tends to go overlooked in these spots. On DK, he's tough to get to center only, but on FanDuel, where you have that power forward eligibility, he's someone I'd be prioritizing over there as well. Drew's price is up a bit, still a little bit too cheap. But again, if Drew's in, none of these guys are going to look as good as they do right now. I'm leaning he's out, especially looking at this spread. But we got to kind of wait and see on that. Jayhawk, do you think Brown's in, and then kind of follow that up with your breakdown of the Celtics?
Yeah, so we briefly touched on it earlier. I think we both kind of lean he sits here, but if he does play like the model projects here, I think the Tatum is still great. 10,200, great total, game total, and just a great spot for Tatum here. So either way, I'm gonna like Tatum a lot here in tournaments. And for the rest of the team, these guys just don't project that well on such a big slate. So it's mainly just Tatum as a spend up, and then the rest of these guys, I don't really have much of overall. So yeah.
Yeah, it's tough to call anything from Boston safe. Like night to night, one or two of these guys are gonna have a really good game, but it's tough to kind of pick and choose which ones. Obviously, with Brown out, you could probably trust Tatum and or Porzingis a bit more. Tatum would be the priority. So again, keep an eye on that bit of news. The spread's telling me that he's probably out, that being Jalen Brown, but again, no confirmation of that. Grizzlies about as healthy as they've been all season. No Brandon Clark. No Zion Poland, whoever the hell that is. Other than that, nothing really to talk about here. I mean, Jaw's back. Maybe because the coach is gone. Who really knows? We could probably talk for a while about that one. Not today, though. I do think Jaw looks fine. I always say Boston really good defensively, but the guys that actually get to them are guards that can create their own shot. John Morant definitely fits that build. I don't mind getting to him a little bit. Other than that, I think it's tough. I mean, Bain and Jackson are kind of priced up as though Jaw would be out. So for me, it's tough to get to anything else really from Memphis. But I do think Jaw's appealing, especially on DK, even with the increased price, just because nobody is playing him tonight. I do think the ceiling's there. You get into many of these Grizzlies?
Yeah, so you mentioned I think Jaw just on this slate with all the like chalky spin up guards, I think he's getting overlooked.
Yep.
Obviously, the matchup isn't great here, but it's still Jaw Morant. He came back and played 31 minutes last game, straight back. So minutes should be good here, and I think it's like his ownership. If he's going to be low, I don't hate it at all at 4%. But after Jaw, just the rest of these guys, I don't love. So mainly just Jaw for me.
Yeah, totally with you, man. I'm not going to argue at all. Again, this team has not been healthy all season. They finally are. So it's just tough to find any sort of value in any of these price ranges. We got one game in the 8 o'clock window between the Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I believe a 15-point spread, but 240-point total. So obviously we're a bit conflicted on this one. OKC does look tremendous in terms of the matchup. At the same time, definitely some risk that we don't see starters in the fourth quarter. On the Bulls side, though, no Lonzo Ball. He's doubtful. Ayo out. Giddy is questionable. Obviously, this is extremely significant. Kevin Herter's out as well. No Trey Jones. So they're missing a lot of key pieces here. Giddy's been outstanding when he's in. This is his former team. You'd think he'd want to get in and get up for this game. But listen is questionable with hip soreness. We'll see what happens there. I'm thinking he plays. And if he does, I do think he's viable. I actually like him a lot. If you are able to jam in SGA, it's just you're paying up for two guards. So it's not really a logical build. But at the same time, I do think there's kind of merit to getting there in tournaments. If SGA, I mean, excuse me, if Giddy is out, Kobe White's going to see a nice little boost. Again, still no Herter, Jones, or Ball, which is kind of creating some opportunity for some of these other guys off the bench. Dalen Terry was popular One of the shows I did last week, he was absolutely terrible, but he came off the bench. He's projected to start here with Herter out. If he starts, I do think he's fine to kind of mix in his value. Even if this game were to blow out, I don't think they're rushing to get him off the floor. So again, if Terry starts, I think he's good value off the bench. Proceed with caution. And then Buzelis as well, someone you could probably get to a little bit. Coming off one of his best games of the season against Dallas. Inconsistent, but the ceiling's there for him. 28 real points, a block, 6 assists, 9 rebounds against Dallas. Just really showed out there. Much different matchup this time around, but he is still affordable and low owned. So I think you can make a case in tournaments. Don't love the spot for Vooch, especially since we have so many good value centers tonight. But the Giddy news is important. Again, I think he's going to be in. And if Terry starts, I think he's fine to use his value at forward, which is one of the tougher positions to find those value guys tonight. So again, Terry, if he starts, I like Giddy if he's in. If he's out, maybe a little bit more White and Buzelis. Otherwise, not too much for me from Chicago. Jayhawk, how about you?
Yeah, man. Josh Giddey, man, I know he has had this game marked on his calendar for a minute now. I think he's going to play here. We can start with him. 9,300, 11% owned. If you're playing this game close, which I kind of am playing it closer than the spread here, I love Giddey if he plays here. 11% owned. It's a tough spot, but I'm in on Giddey here. Low owned, love him in tournaments. And then for the rest of Chicago, love Dalen Terry. Model really likes him for value. No Kevin Herter, so I think Terry looks amazing. And then Matas, I'm kind of up in the air on. 9% owned. It's not a good spot, but the model likes him, so definitely something to note there. Yeah. So did you have a different take on Matas than me? And the rest of the team here, I don't love besides those three guys.
Yeah, no, I feel the same about Montas. He's one of those guys who's fine as like a last piece in. If he burns you, he burns you. But like you're kind of chasing those ceiling games, which he has flashed more recently. Like a comparable play, obviously a different position over on the OKC side is like a Lou Dort. Like you know he could get you 30 or 40, but most nights he's not even going to be close. But you want to mix those guys into tournaments. It's just never a sure thing. Model always seems to like them though. And here we go. We got Lou Dort towards the top here. No surprise. But again, very inconsistent. As far as injury goes here, the front court's maybe going to be thin tonight. No, actually, Hartenstein and Holmgren are both questionable. So no word on that yet. So is Jalen Williams. So there is a world in which all of them end up out and we end up with maybe like Kenrich Williams or Brandon Carlson starting at center. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm thinking at least one of Hartenstein or Checo, probably Isaiah. Otherwise, Wiggins is going to be out. No AJ Mitchell still, assuming Dang not available either. Widespread here. Dort is projected to start. I don't mind mixing him in as a last piece. SGA ceiling, one of the best on the entire slate. We don't have the Lakers game on the DK slate, so I think just confirming this, yeah, SGA the top OF index play of the day ahead of guys like Tatum, Sabonis, Halliburton, etc. So yeah, he looks really good here if you could find the salary for him. The issue is there is a lot of good guard value. But yeah, I would never argue with someone playing one of the best players in the league against one of the worst defenses. Jalen Williams is back. It's going to cut into him slightly, but not to the point that you want to take him out of your player pool or anything like that. But again, we got to kind of wait and see on this front court news. If one or two of these guys are out, maybe Wallace, obviously he's a guard. We're talking about bigs, could run into a few extra minutes. He's been really productive when he's on the floor. But yeah, man, it's tough until we know this news. Right now, I like SGA, pretty much nothing else. But if one or two of these bigs are out, like whoever's left is going to be very appealing, obviously. But how are you kind of handling OKC? Do you have much of a lean on Chet and or Hartenstein?
Yeah, so wish I could say I did for Chet, but for Hardenstein, I think he's more likely to play. He was at shoot around. I think Hardenstein most likely plays here. Chet probably a true 50-50. And then in terms of Jalen Williams, I think he should play too, but we'll see. And then you mentioned the SGA. If you can get to him, I think he looks really good as ownership. It's just going to come down to this spread and how it turns out. But at this ownership, I love SGA.
Yep. Wait and see on the rest of the lineup. Can't go wrong if you're finding salary for SGA. Do you want to mention quickly the Heat did just officially rule out Davion Mitchell, which is kind of what we were expecting. Keep an eye on the starting lineup. If Hawkes slides in, he becomes pretty interesting as value. I do think Burks probably runs into a few extra minutes here. Again, great matchup for Miami. But yeah, let's talk about the other side of this game. Actually, we already did. So we're on to the 8:30 game. We got my Nets taking on the Dallas Mavericks on the Brooklyn side of things. Noah Clowney, Cam Johnson, DeAnthony Melton, Day'Ron Sharp, and Cam Thomas all out. What does that mean? It means maybe we're going to see some Drew Timme again. We'll talk about him in a minute. Yeah, this is another team that's tanking. The minutes have been really tough to project night to night. Like on paper, guys like D'Angelo Russell look okay. The minutes just haven't been there, though. I would honestly just rather cross him out than play him at all. Keon Johnson, Zaire Williams seem like one of those two is going to go off on a night to night basis. Never know which one it's going to be. And then there's a bunch of guys you can kind of list off the bench, like Tyrese Martin, Trendon Watford, no Day'Ron Sharp should boost their upside a little bit. But Drew Timme is the guy everyone's been talking about lately. He was crushed in the G League all year, and he's playing against a lot of backups and stuff right now. So he's going to continue to produce when he's on the floor. On DK, where he's center only, he is an okay tournament pivot off of Shibwe and or Bryant. I would rather play the two former. On FanDuel, though, where you have power forward for him, he's not even center eligible over there. And honestly, he is more of a 4 than a 5. I do like him at just 3,900. Pretty appealing as a value play. Surprised he's only 50% owned. Other than that, just a tough team to get to. Like I said, Claxton's minutes have been all over the place. If I was confident any of these guys would play 30, I'd definitely make a case for them. Not a bad spot here against Dallas. But we have no one projected over 28. So, again, just a team that's tanking, letting the young guys get some run, calling up G Leaguers. We got Whitehead up with the team right now. Tosan's back. Like, not that I'm playing either of those two, but it is enough to cut into some of the others. And like I said, I do think Timmy's viable as a tournament play on DK. Borderline core play on FanDuel, honestly. I think he's going to probably play 25-ish minutes, but nothing I really like here from Brooklyn. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yeah, man. Brooklyn here. I want to say there's a guy I have a bunch of just for you, Nick, but I think it would
It's
probably
all
be
good.
I think it'd be Timmy for me if I had to pick one. Like you mentioned, low owned on both sides, and he's just a guy. He's been out there producing for them, so probably Timmy, and then the rest of the team here, man. It's just difficult. So for me, it was just Timmy, but yeah, it's just tough here.
Yep. On the other side of things, we have Dallas. Anthony Davis is probable. We have him up around 31 minutes now, which is enough to make him something to look at. Kessler Edwards is out. No Dante Exum. Gafford is probable. No Kyrie Irving, obviously. Derek Lively is questionable. Caleb Martin is probable. Oliver Maxine Prosper is out, as is Brandon Williams. This is a quote unquote revenge game for Spence Dinwiddie. I do think he is someone I kind of want to mix in. This is a good spot for him. Can run the pick and roll with AD. And yeah, he's actually been producing at a much higher level than I think a lot of people would give him credit for going into this season. Obviously, Kyrie and Luka being out of the picture, a big reason for that. PJ Washington's way overpriced with AD and Gafford back, in my opinion. Can say the same for Najee Marshall. For me, I don't mind AD in tournaments, but I think Spence is the guy I'm most interested in. But again, the price isn't all that great. So I don't think there's any real priorities here. AD and Dinwiddie are playable. Probably don't get to much else. How about you?
Yeah, so mainly just AD. I mean, I don't have a bunch, but I think he probably projects the best here. And then Dinwiddie's fine as well. It's just we mentioned a guard is just loaded. He needs to do a lot just at his price. So you can mix them in. I don't have a bunch of Dinwiddie, but yeah, probably those two. And then the rest of Dallas here, Najee he's had a couple pop off games, but it's mainly just those two, AD and Dinwiddie.
Yep. As this team again gets healthy, tougher to get to. They're all kind of overpriced. AD is going to cut into a lot of what these other guys have been doing. So just keep that in mind. So that is all for the DK slate. I will get to chat, guys. Let's just rip through this last game that's only on FanDuel. In the 10 o'clock window, we have the Houston Rockets taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. Pretty tight spread, 225-point total here. On the Houston side of things, really no significant injuries, just G Leaguers. So again, when teams are getting healthy, they're tougher to get to. All these guys are kind of priced where they should be. No one really drawing much ownership on FanDuel other than Jalen Green. Eamon Thompson, probably my favorite play here, but again, he's kind of playing banged up, and this team's just been healthier than they have been. So I don't think there's any real priorities. I don't mind getting to any of the starters, even Dylan Brooks, but yeah, no priorities from Houston for me. How about you, Jayhawk?
Yeah, Houston, man, on FanDuel here, I think all these guys are just low on for a reason. Jalen Green, the chalkiest here, probably a good spot for just shooting against the Lakers here. So Jalen Green, I'm fine with at his ownership, but Amen, you can maybe take a stab at here, 5% on, but it's just tough here. Uh, kind of low total. Just we have a bunch of good plays on the slate, so not in love with the spot here for Houston.
Yep. Totally with you, man. I just don't think there's anything we need to prioritize again as these
Yeah.
teams get healthy. So many on the slate are resting guys or have guys out, so it's just tough to really prioritize. Over on the Lakers side of things, LeBron's probable, no Maxi Kleber. Other than that, nothing. So again, they're a little bit healthier than they have been. I will say though, Luca is Luca. You can almost always get to him and feel pretty good about it. He's been pushing 60 fantasy points, which really isn't enough at his price. But at the same time, on a slate lacking payups, if he ends up the top raw point scorer, he could still be valuable, even if you're overpaying for him. So I don't mind mixing him in. LeBron sub 10K, I'm fine with. I mean, Austin Reeves does have upside, but I've had issue paying 8K for him with both James and Doncic in and available. Finney Smith probably back on the bench now with Rui in and available. Rui, I don't know. Maybe okay in tournaments, just not much else here I like. I do think Luke and LeBron look fine though. If you can find the salary for him, obviously that late night hammer could be pretty fun to climb up those leaderboards. But yeah, no priorities for me really from the Lakers. I'd obviously love to get to some Luca if I can, but might be tough, especially if we're getting to more SGA. But how are you going to handle LA?
Yeah. I think on FanDuel here, I think both Luca and LeBron, I think both look fine as just because, or just like spend ups here with all the value we have today. I think you can easily get to either one. So, yeah, you mentioned it raw fantasy point wise. Either one of these guys could be in the winner. So, yeah, definitely fine with both those guys. And then the rest of LA, I'm just not getting much here at all.
Yep. Nice, man. I'm with you. So let's rip through some chat and we'll do a quick dummy bill, get out of here. You are on double duty, so definitely want to respect that. So, Don, question here. If I play Halliburton, do I have to put Simmons in my lineup? Who's he talking about? I can only get Simpson at point guard up at 365. Simmons. Are you saying Simpson? I don't think you need, if you're playing Halliburton, I don't think there's anything you need to do. Just play Halliburton, right? I'm not really familiar with the Bet 365 format, but I don't think you have to force anything. Any thoughts on that, Jayhawk? I'm not sure I understand the question.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Simons isn't on the slate. So I think, yeah, Howley and Simpson are both good plays. I'm just going to answer it like that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Demetrius, would you play Toshiba and Filipowski together? Yes, they're projecting for more minutes than a lot of the other guys. Really short rotation, good matchup. I think Jayhawk feels the same.
Yep, for sure.
Jose Saluin starting, no. Saluin, I gotta stop throwing that extra L there. And he's still pretty good off the bench, though, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Last minute, Jones Jr., Saluin, or Terry. Jones Jr. isn't even in the conversation for me. I think it's Terry as long as he's starting. If not, I would rather play Saloon off the bench if they're both off the bench. Davion out, as we mentioned. Shouts out you, Gold2, for keeping us honest on that. SGA, Tatum, Giddy together. Good idea to play one or two. Man, you got to really like the rest of your value. I'll say if Brown's out and you want to try to do it, go ahead. But take a look at your value. Make sure it scores relatively well in the model. It's going to be tough to feel too good there. Tatum Legacy night for Michael. Hope so, man. I'll probably be playing him. Is Luca good tonight for sure? Good matchup. I mean, not the best matchup, but it's Luca. He can do it against anyone. I got to play Timmy. They play South Park Timmy sound when he makes a basket. Yeah, I mentioned this in Discord. It's pretty hilarious. Big fan of South Park. I didn't like Timmy in college, but he's in that now, so maybe I have to. Does Davis' defense on Timmy downgrade him at all? I mean, he's mostly going to be playing garbage time. I don't know. I don't think it really does, if we're being honest. Again, he's just in there to kind of tank. Like, he's a good guy in terms of stats. I don't think he's in there to win basketball games, but yeah, it's not enough to really worry me personally. But again, I'd rather play Toshiba or Thomas Bryant. I'm going to use that to segue into our dummy build, Jayhawk, where I think we're starting with Toshiba and Thomas Bryant, right?
Yes, sir.
KJ Simpson.
Yeah, Simpson, yeah, for value, probably the safest guard. Yep.
Yep. Who else did we want to get to?
Do we both like Tatum as like the concurrent best spend up forward?
Yeah, I do. I will say if Brown's in, though, maybe I'll rethink this. But for now, I think Brown's going to be out.
Okay.
So, all right. Still decent amount of salary per player. Let's just make sure we're not missing anything obvious. I mean, I do like Hallie if we can fit him.
I like Holly a lot. Yeah, we can definitely get him.
Hallie, Terry, Filipowski. Let's see if we can get all of them in there.
Love that.
And again, Terry has to start. I think he will. But keep an eye on that one. Look at this build. This is a beauty. 9,100 for forward. We got options, man. Bridges, I'd rather go Kawhi, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think definitely Kawhi for me too.
Yeah, he's been putting up 50 a game, so that looks pretty damn good in my opinion. A few questions coming in the last second. Let's see here. Rip through these really quick. Lords of the Underworld shouts out. Yeah, that's Timmy's band on South Park. Question is Williams Hornets center looking good. Don, he's fine for upside, but he's only playing 25 minutes a game, so he's kind of boomer bust. I'd almost rather go Zubac or something, but he's playable. It's not a priority. Lords of the Underworld, that's Timmy's band. Yeah. Timmy questions. We are at the end of the year for sure. It was a good idea to play Hero and Bam in the same lineup. I think you're fine too, Jose. I mean, they're really going to do everything. Not something I'm prioritizing, but I wouldn't force you not to. Lock in Big Oscar, definitely with it. Doctor, fill my heart with pain. George and Tatum, yeah, we could go Keontae. Hallie revenge season. I mean, it's a home game, but at the same time, I do like him a lot here. AD finally puts up a 60 burger. Don't mind that. Yeah, if Brown ends up in, I think I'd like to get to some AD over Tatum. I will say that, but keep an eye on that. I think Brown's going to be out. I got to get on MLB. Great show as always. Yeah, I'll just take Power's word here to kind of wrap this up. Appreciate you guys. Again, running multiple sports right now. The grind is real, but we appreciate you being here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Check the links on your way out the door. Jayhawk in Discord right now, taking you up until lock. Good luck, everyone. Take care. Have a great night.
Good luck, guys.